You're listening to WOWD LP Takoma Park, and this is the Thought Bowl. I am Pete.
Hey, I'm Heather.
And today we are here with Paige.
Hey guys,
Okay, how are you doing today, Paige?
I'm doing really well.
And Paige is going to be the person that's going to make you feel lazy and very not athletic.
Well, I don't know.
Today.
I mean, like most of us, didn't you take a bike ride of 95 miles this morning? Didn't you all listening? And I know I did. I took one of 96 miles.
Yeah, I think I saw you out there, Pete. Is that you I was waving at? I was like, there's Pete at mile 74.
So Paige is a triathlete. Is that the proper term?
Triathlete,
which involves three disciplines, swimming, running, and biking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And she did actually bike 95 miles this morning. That's pretty incredible. And what route did you take? Or where did you go on your bike ride today?
I went through Potomac, Maryland, from D.C. to Potomac, and then up to Sugarloaf Mountain, up Sugarloaf, back down, and some riding around that area, and then back to DC.
Wow. And have you done that route before?
Yeah, a couple years ago I went to Sugarloaf, but this is territory for cyclists, so that's where a lot of the DC cyclists, Maryland cyclists, go out in Potomac area, out in the hills.
Wow. That's incredible. And before we jump into all the fun athletic stuff, where were you born and what brought you to the D.C. metro area?
Those are two very different questions. So I was born in Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah. And in Kailua on the island of Oahu. And then when I was about 2.5 years old, I said, I think I'm ready to get out of Hawaii. And I'd like to move to California, Mom and Dad. So they were like, okay, sure. So moved back to California, which was where my parents met, and then grew up in California and came out here to University of Maryland in 2006 to go to grad school. So that's why I'm in the area, is for grad school.
Oh, I thought you went to Berkeley, too.
I went to Berkeley for undergrad, yeah.
Oh, okay. So were your parents, what were they doing in Hawaii?
My dad got a job out there. He was delivering water for a water company, those big jugs of water that you get at the office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he inspired a lot of office conversations.
Oh, yeah, around the water cooler.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
Oh, so imagine the water gets shipped into Hawaii from...
Yeah, they opened up a new office,
Okay.
and they said, we need you, would you like to move to Hawaii and deliver water in Hawaii? And he said, sure. And he said, Paige, do you want to go? And I said, because I wasn't born yet.
Even though by 2.5 you were already making the family decisions, right?
Yeah, it was a long conversation I had.
So have you been back to Hawaii?
No, I haven't, but the Ironman World Championship is there, so maybe one day I'll qualify for that and get to go back to the motherland.
And have some water.
Yeah.
Hey, I bet I
Some
know
ocean
where
water.
this came
Some
from.
ocean water.
And you said you went to the University of Maryland here, so this was your first foray into this area was going to the University of Maryland?
Yeah, actually my first foray outside of California, really, was I went to University of Maryland.
Oh.
2 years, I got my master's in English literature.
And you're now obviously using that skill in your regular work job?
I recite, yeah. I write poetry at work. No, I don't.
I think we used to have a poetry club. Pete and Paige and I used to all work at the same place.
Yeah, I wrote a sonnet about Laika, the dog that got sent out into space, and I was very proud of myself with my poetry writing ability that I never knew I had.
Have you submitted any poems to any journals?
No, I haven't. I'm not writing poetry these days, just for the office, poetry month.
Not for Triathlete magazine?
No, not yet. I'm sure that there's some poetry in my head at some point I need to write down and submit it.
Now I'm picturing, I don't know if it goes beyond triathlete, what would it be, quadrathlete, where maybe you swim, I don't know, 10 miles. Is that a normal amount to swim?
No.
No, 3 miles?
Yeah, 1 mile
Okay.
to
1 to 3 miles, and then you bike for 10 miles, and then you sit down in a coffee shop that's sprung up by the side of the road, and you write a poem for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then you go run 20 more miles.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you would have to be given the poetry convention when you sat down. Like you're writing a haiku on sandals. And so you had to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. We should get this together and promote this.
Right, right. And then even free writing too. I can imagine, like, after you've just been through an intense experience, like some of the running and other athletic things you do, to just sit down and suddenly just come out with whatever's in your head.
Right, as you're throwing up.
You're throwing up.
And eating and eating
The
pizza.
less glamorous part. Oh, the
Yeah.
more glamorous part.
And eating pizza.
Do you throw up and then eat pizza, or eat pizza and then throw up?
Usually
Or
you throw
both?
up and then you wait 10 minutes and get some water, walk around, and then you eat pizza.
Wow.
That sounds like the life.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of, there was this thing, I don't know if they still do it, called chess boxing, where people would box around, do a chess move, box around, do a chess move, and until they've boxed 15 rounds or made 15 moves.
That's a good idea. It combines the mental challenge with the physical challenge.
And it was interesting to see, after someone got like pummeled in a particular round, them sitting down and just being in a fog, not making the proper move,
Not knowing how the rook moves anymore.
Right.
Do they have coaches for both the boxing and the chess?
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be interesting.
Like, no, okay, wait, back to your chess corners. Not that pawn.
So you also have a little crew. What are they called? The triathlon crew?
Yeah, my crew, there's a lot of us. There's several groups. The biggest crew is a DC Tri Club. So if anyone is interested, dctriclub.org. That is, I think we're about 1,200 members strong.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have events. We do training together. As you can imagine, people vary among abilities and speed, and so you usually have to find some people about your pace for the different disciplines. But there's a lot of workouts and happy hours and other events. We even do volunteer events and camping events and that kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
So I'm pretty involved in there, and I'm also on the DC Tri Club's elite team. We're sponsored by Tavicon Capital this year and have a lot of other in-kind sponsors. And yeah, we have a small group of about 12 of us. So we do local races and support the race for the club.
How'd you get on the elite squad? What did you have to do?
I had to box and play chess. I won. I just submitted an application. I started doing well in my age group. So when you compete in triathlon, usually there's a pro group, but very few people are pros, official pros. And then there are age groups. So you compete in increments of 5 years. So I'll be competing with women between 35 and 39. And so I started doing well in my age group and getting awards in there. And then so I applied to the team, and I was doing things I was involved in the Tri Club. They like to see that, and doing well. And then yeah, I got an offer, and I said yes.
Oh, nice. And are there certain responsibilities being on the elite squad? Are you a mentor to new people?
Yeah, they want you to be involved in the club and volunteer for various programs and events that the Tri Club has going on. So yeah, I was a mentor. There's a new triathlete program, and you can apply to be a mentor of a new triathlete. But my new triathlete got in a car accident, or got hit by a car on her bike, and she couldn't race. So yeah,
that's terrible.
Sorry, Alyssa, if you're listening. Hope you're doing well.
And if any members of your crew are out there listening, send us an email at thoughtbowlradio@gmail.com and let us know how you're listening. If you're listening on terrestrial radio on 94.3 FM, or if you're listening on Takoma Radio www.paige.org. Just, we like to know there's people out there listening. And from the Facebook post, I imagine someone's out there is listening to Paige, because it seems like you had quite a few people commenting on, oh, it's great. Paige is going to be on the radio.
Yeah, but sometimes people just, this day and age, 20,000 things going on, and they end up, oh, I have to feed my cat. Oh, I missed you.
But you can still feed your cat and listen to Takoma Radio.
That's what I said.
Yeah. That's the good thing about radio. You don't have to, be in front of a screen or anything to watch what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you brought some music to share today, too, didn't you?
I did. I gave Pete some songs probably about a month ago. And these are my old favorites along the years. These are some of the songs that really pump me up.
And this first song is by Skrillex and a guest appearance by Jim Morrison of The Doors, talking about the future of music. So he's kind of a prophet in this song. And this is called Breaking a Sweat. This is kind of fitting because I'm sure you probably sweat a little bit when when you're riding a bike or running.
It's hot in the studio, man.
Yeah. We want to, to get used to the heat outside. So we made the studio extra hot for you.
Thanks.
So here's Skrillex. This is WOWD, Takoma Radio, and this is the Thought Bowl, and that was Skrillex, with a guest appearance by Jim Morrison and other members of The Doors. And we're back here with Paige. She is a triathlete, and she is getting ready to compete in something, maybe?
Yeah, compete.
What's your next thing you have coming up?
The next thing is a national championship, age group national championship in Cleveland, Ohio. So I placed well at a race I did last year, and people get invited to this, so you have to do well in another race. And then if you do well in this race in your age group, you get an invitation to Switzerland, the World Championship in Switzerland. So I did a similar one, the age group national championship, a couple years ago, and I did well in my age group, and I got to go to Rotterdam last year for the World Championship amateurs. Not pro.
And do you get some type of a stipend?
No money there.
They don't pay for meals or lodging or
no.
anything?
They want you to do this. I'm sure they make a lot of money. What they end up doing is they put the money towards their teenagers, their kids coming up, and pros. So the money that they make off us age groupers, who we're called, it's put back into their programs. The USA Triathlon organization.
And what do you mean? So you're not a pro?
I'm not a pro. I'm an amateur.
Do you have aspirations to be a pro?
No, it would require me to put in a level of work that I don't think I'll be able to do. But if it happens, it happens. You end up doing well in certain. I haven't really looked at how to get what they call your pro card. But you have to you have to start getting winning races, and I don't think I'm going to be at that level, but. And you actually don't get any money. If you're a pro and you're not winning out of all the pros, and then you're not at the top three in if all your races, so it's really hard to make money as a pro triathlete. A lot of people have to keep their day jobs.
There's no sponsorships like in surfing or...
There are sponsorships, but you have to be at the top.
Oh, okay, so it's basically, like you said, the top three.
Yeah.
People know their names, and they're basically
the
face of triathletes, and everyone else is...
Yeah. Or you become a coach, and then a lot of pro people who turn pro start coaching and start to get in. That's their full-time job. But a lot of times you don't end up making what you were making as, a financial consultant or whatever you were doing before.
That's interesting.
So speaking of people having to keep their day jobs, how much time do you put into training a week?
I think this week I'm topped out at 18 hours.
18 hours.
So a lot of times that's work out in the morning, work out in the evening, and then the weekends are your long ride. So I worked out probably 7 hours today, and I might hit the gym after this.
Okay, so that 95-mile bike ride this morning took about 7 hours?
Yeah, it was about 6.
Yeah,
a little under 6.
Wow.
Yeah. Pete's eyes are getting big. Pete has small eyes, you guys.
Yeah.
But they are huge right now.
Well, I'm jealous because I cannot even ride a bicycle at all. So.
Well, I was there, when I was 2.5 in Hawaii. I didn't know how to ride a
Oh
bicycle.
well, yeah. Well,
We were all there, Pete.
I was 13 trying
That's
to
no
learn.
excuses.
I just picked up my bike this morning, so I'm getting closer. I found a bike by the side of the road about 5 years ago. I rode it for a couple years, maybe a couple times a month, and I haven't ridden it for a couple years, and it's been propped up for the squirrels and the catbirds on my back deck. And the other day, I think a raccoon knocked it over, and I went out and picked it up this morning and propped it up. And
So the raccoon was probably trying to ride it.
I think
it may have been
so.
Pete and a raccoon
Yeah,
that
it
caused
was.
you.
Yeah. The raccoon's teaching me to ride a bike. That's
Yeah.
exactly what was happening.
yeah, but I plan to dust it off and see if I can get some air in the tires and try
Yeah.
it out again.
Give it to Pete too. I
Yeah.
want to see Pete's butt in that seat.
Yeah. So there's 3 things. So there's swimming, running, and bicycling. How would you rate yourself on those 3? What's your strongest of the 3, and what's your weakest of the 3?
My strongest is running, and my weakest is swimming. Yep.
Wow. But you swim a lot. That's right.
Well, I probably swim faster than you, Pete.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe let's have a swim off in the lobby right now.
I can doggy
There's a pool
paddle
in the
tonight.
back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, to be at a strong level within your age group, you have to do all 3 pretty well.
Right.
But if you look at my race results compared to the other women who are racing, I'm usually one of the fastest runs and not one of the fastest swims. I'm kind of in the middle or the top middle of the swim.
Oh, okay. And the biking is somewhere in between. You would rate yourself?
Usually I'm at towards the top of biking too. So I'm strong cyclist, strong runner, but even stronger runner than I'm cyclist. If you're comparing me to everyone else.
Right.
Is swimming in lakes, or where do you swim? Is it in pools? Or-
I train in pools and race in reservoirs or lakes.
Okay.
Like what would be an example of a lake in this area?
Lake Anna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of races around Lake Anna. And then out in the Eastern Shore, there's little areas, not exactly out in the ocean, but in the Eastern Shore, there's some places to swim.
In salt water and
Yeah,
Or-
I think it's brackish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Isn't there some nasty stuff and
Oh, but Potomac
that
too.
you run into
you swim in the Potomac?
Yeah, there's an organization called WOWD, and they have at National Harbor they have open water swims. The Potomac River Keepers are really are partnering with these races that we have in the Potomac to actually clean up the Potomac so that it's better for swimming.
I'm trying to remember the president. I don't think it was Teddy Kennedy, but it might have been, who would swim every morning in the Potomac. Back
really?
in a
Teddy
time
Roosevelt?
when Teddy Roosevelt. That's who I meant.
Yeah, that's how I got
not Teddy
polio.
Kennedy.
Yeah, that's how you
Yeah. But I guess it was cleaner then. But maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the nastiest thing you've come across swimming in?
Actually, that was my first races in the Potomac. My first triathlon was Nations Tri, and I thought it was going to be gross, but it was actually a lot cleaner, and it didn't smell bad or anything. It was a lot cleaner than I was expecting, and it was fine. It was totally fine.
You come across a tire or
No.
anything
No.
I just envision
They
there's
clean
always
that
a
stuff
tire.
up, a dead body.
So they clean up before? Does someone inspect it to make sure it's quasi safe?
Definitely. They definitely do water testing before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's part of it. And I think they cancel the swim even they're really aggressive about the levels and overly cautious about the levels of bacteria.
Oh, okay.
And so what may be actually okay, they will cancel the swim if it's too dirty. But that's not it's not something you can smell or see.
Right, you have to physically
It's not
test
like
it.
it's not like we have 20 tires in the water and we have to cancel the swim.
I don't know why I just
It's
envision
invisible. It's invisible
there's
pollution.
always a tire in the water in my mind, no matter what what water source is it, there's the big tire floating around. I don't know why I think that.
Right. But that's great. So there's a connection between the training and environmentalism. And,
Oh yeah, definitely. And some cycling events too. They ask you to donate a little money to the trail, or the cleaning up the parks or that kind of conservancy kind of organizations as well.
And out of these 3 disciplines, what's the order in the races that they're performed?
The order is swim, then a bike, and then a run. And I think that's just because it's it's easier to run when you're tired because you can walk.
Right.
If you're tired and you're swimming,
You might. Yeah.
disaster.
Right.
Especially if you
Recipe
get-
for disaster.
Especially if you get a cramp, I imagine. I
Yeah,
imagine
a
you
lot of
could get-
cramping happens out on the run too, especially if it's hot. You don't
Right.
want to be swimming.
No, because if you're running, you'd fall to the side of the road swimming.
Right. But I'm sure that someone's thought up the reverse triathlon where you're running a marathon and biking hundreds of miles and then have to swim. But,
But the official triathlete
Yep.
order is what you just said.
Yep, swim, bike, run.
Swim, bike, run.
And which was the one that you started doing first? Like, we haven't really talked about how did you start doing all of this?
I was a casual jogger.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did a little bit I was on the swim team one year in high school, and I was probably the worst on my team. My coach was like, "We almost cut you, but I think that you have potential." And then I did cross country and track, and also was kind of, I wasn't at the top at all. And I kept running through college, but just to jog here, going to the gym and on the treadmill. And then, I just started doing it a little bit more seriously and got into triathlon and training all the time. Yeah.
So that was in this area, in the DC area, that
Yeah.
you started doing it.
Yeah.
And how long? Those three things. What's the distance on each of those three things? in a
So
triathlon?
there's a lot of different race lengths. So if you want to start out the smallest usually is a sprint or super sprint, and that's 750 meter swim. The bike is not typical. It's not one standard distance. It's usually 10 to 15 miles, and then the run is usually a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And then the standard distance, what they do, it's also called the Olympic distance that they do in the Olympics. That's 1,500 meter swim. That's a little under a mile. And then it's a 24-mile bike, 40K bike, and then a 6.2 mile run, 10K run. That's standard Olympic distance. And then you have your longer distances, your half iron distance race, and then your full Ironman race. But those are branded. So MDOT is an organization, a company that owns that distance, that has trademarked that distance.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can trademark a distance.
Yeah, so if you want to do it, if you want to put on a race that's that distance, you have to call it an iron distance race, not an Ironman race.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty. And do they do that? I think I've seen that on ESPN or something. Do they do that in the ocean sometimes, the swimming part?
Yeah, so they'll broadcast the one in Hawaii I mentioned at the earlier of the show. That is the Ironman World Championship.
Oh, okay.
Thinking of swimming in the ocean, what are some hazards that you come across in training or in racing?
Hanger, which is they call it.
Hanger, yeah.
Was that
Hunger
angry
affecting
hunger?
your emotions.
Oh yeah. I mean, some people have gotten stung by jellyfish and that kind of thing. So ocean swimming, I haven't done a lot of it. Other hazards, typical things, cycling. When you're out, wear your helmet, be cautious. Cars hit cyclists all the time, and
Even during events, that happens?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Events, training. Yeah. So the hazards, I think, like the highest risk is when you're on your bike.
Because I imagine if you're, going that kind of a distance, it's hard to stay focused on what's going on around you.
Yeah.
I would think, because you're focusing on continuing forward and
Right.
pumping.
Well, the other risk also is overtraining and injuring yourself while you run and doing too much too soon. Well, that's how most people get injured. It's thinking that they can run 10 miles after having run just 5. And
Right.
they just go at it and they hurt themselves.
Wow.
Are those things that our moms told us when we were kids true, like for any of them? Like, should you not swim or run right after you ate? Or
No, so the fourth discipline in triathlon is nutrition. So the longer distances, you're gonna what's called bonking is that your body only has about 2,000 calories of sugar in its muscles to use. So if you're burning more than that, your body is gonna say you need more food, or you're just gonna fall down. And so you have to eat you have to consume calories while you're doing races that are longer than 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
And so you don't want to have a full meal and then jump in the water. But if you can handle that, that's great, because I think that's part of training, is that you need to have stuff in your stomach and still be able to go at a pace that you want.
Bonking.
Bonk.
Bonk. Is that an acronym for something, or?
No, it's like hitting the wall, bonking. Yeah. I don't think it's an acronym.
Oh. We could make it an acronym.
Then we'd have to, it's like the reverse acronym, figure out what bonk stands for. N could be nutrition, but I'm not sure the other. B and the O
K
and
is
the
a difficult one.
Oh, yeah, the K. To figure that one out.
Okay, well, you can find us on the Thought Bowl on Facebook if you have an idea for a reverse acronym for bonk.
Or send us an email. And we have another song here. This is another song that gets you motivated before you start bonking.
As I'm bonking.
As you're bonking, this song's like, okay, I have to work past the bonk. This is Solar System by Crystal Fighters. This is WOWD Takoma Radio, and that was Crystal Fighters with Solar System. And we are back here with triathlete Paige. And you talked about bonking when it comes to hunger and everything. Could you talk a little bit about your diet and what you eat before and after a race, and just what you eat in general?
Well, during training and racing, I'll have packaged foods or bananas, nuts. Some of the packaged foods are like gels that sports nutrition. It's a big industry. So runners use gels when they're running, and it's easily digestible, and it's the right kind of sugar to fuel you then, and keep some in the tank for a little bit later, and doesn't cause stomach aches and that kind of thing. But I've been following a vegan diet for the last year, and been a vegetarian for 12 years. So I've always been a vegetarian while I did triathlon.
Okay. And you've been a vegan a year.
Yeah.
How's that transformation?
I'm so protein deficient.
I was just about to ask, where do you get your
Can
protein
you
from?
see this? You can't. You guys, I'm flexing my muscles.
Paige
Trust
has very
me.
big muscles.
Trust me, I got them.
So I was going to say, so cheese isn't the major source of protein that I tend to think it is. Being a vegetarian myself, I eat a lot of cheese. But
Yeah, I used to love cheese too, and actually haven't missed it. What do I eat? First of all, you don't need that much protein. Your body will only needs a few amino acids that are essential. But I do eat a lot of protein. I eat a lot of tofu. I have some smoothies. Whole grains have a lot of protein, like quinoa. Beans. I love my Instant Pot. Make a lot of beans and hummus and that kind of stuff. And
Nuts, almonds,
oh yeah,
pistachios.
I'm all about the nut butters. And nutritional yeast. If you haven't heard of it, guys, look it up. It's hard to explain. It's not a yeast.
It's kind of a cheesy type of substance.
It's cheesy, yeah.
Like, you could put it on popcorn, and it's kind of like cheesy, like popcorn.
Flaky stuff. I'm not exactly sure how it's made or where it comes from. Actually, that nutritional yeast has a lot of protein in it. And yeah, I think a lot of fruits and vegetables, even though they don't have protein in it, but a lot of micronutrients in vegetables are really good for recovering and assimilating the training and building muscle and all of that. So it's really important for recovery is a lot of fruits and vegetables.
And are there other vegans that are in your triathlete group?
Not that I can think
Oh,
of.
really?
Yeah, I mean, I know of some people, but no one super close. You'd think that people would be a little bit more worried about their diet, but a lot of people will eat junk food.
Right.
yeah,
Not on a daily basis.
But just because, eat junk food knowing they have to consume a certain amount of calories because they're going to burn a certain amount of calories?
Yeah. I mean, you go by hunger levels usually, and sometimes it takes a day to catch up. You just start to learn how much more that you actually have to eat. I just do more snacking, and I'll just eat when I'm hungry, which is often.
So you eat like 5 or 6 small meals during the course of the day?
Yeah, sometimes, it's like 2 lunches, really. Just smaller portions. Because if I have a huge lunch, I get tired and fall asleep at my desk, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
This kind of goes against the thing that you see in, like Olympics. They always show the athlete having their breakfast in the morning, and it's like, 5, plates full of
Pizza.
bacon and, just stacks of eggs and toast and things. And seems like they have a big meal before.
Well, I'm not training like that. Yeah. But yeah, on the higher training days, you have to eat a little bit more. And also, though, you are eating. This morning, for example, on my bike, I ate probably 800 calories during that. And so I only had, 1,000 to make up, or.
And you said the max amount your body's going to burn is 2,000 calories? Is that what you said? 2,000 calories?
Yeah. You have muscle glycogen, so that's like the sugar in your body that your brain and your muscles use, and it's stored and ready for use, and that's what your body uses first when you start exercising. So your body, though, what you're wanting to do during exercise is train it to burn fat, use fat for fuel, because you have way more calories of fat on your body than you do 2,000 calories of this sugar in your muscles. And so that's what training does. Some people go way far and won't eat anything to train their body to use fat, and that can be dangerous. But yeah, I mean, just training and eating too while you're training. It's still, if you're going to do a 6-hour bike ride, you're still training your body to start using its fat stores as well.
Yeah, I think I ate at least 800 calories this morning, and I did not take a 6-hour bike ride.
Yeah.
Because there's also this perception or misperception that vegans wind up burning muscle and not fat because of their lack of protein. Is that just BS?
Oh, interesting. Probably that happens if, in general, you're not getting enough calories to support what you're doing. So whether you're exercising or not, if you're burning more calories, using up more calories just to live than you are eating, your body will start to use, whether you're vegan or not, your body can start to cannibalize its own muscle. So yeah, I think you want to have. There's a really large range of protein, so I think it's for each individual. But I think you can go as low as 10% of your calories is protein. It's not very filling. You end up eating a lot of sugar stuff or carbohydrates. So I think it really depends on what your body responds to. I would just say go for whole foods as much as possible, because that's
not the store Whole Foods, but just Whole Foods.
Yeah.
So do you work with a nutritionist, or is there a nutritionist who consults with your triathlete team?
No, but a lot of stuff, everyone has a blog these days. You can really find nutrition principles in a book on triathlon, or even just on the internet. And so it's, I don't have a nutritionist myself. Most people who see nutritionists have a problem. So sometimes people are getting stomach aches while they're racing or while they're training, and they're not digesting their food, or some people have given up gluten just to see how their body reacts. And so I think that, or dairy, I think people have food sensitivities and they start experimenting, which I think is a really, really noble pursuit. I think everyone should figure out what's best for them, not just eat what's around them and what tastes good, but what's best for their lifestyle.
Did you learn any hard lessons as far as not eating enough or eating too much before races?
No, and I'm lucky, knock on wood. I have an iron stomach, and I've always done really well. I've never thrown up or any of that from training or racing, during training or racing. Sometimes I have to go to the bathroom a couple extra times.
During the race or during?
No, just maybe during training, and yeah.
How about when you're doing the swimming part, like peeing and wherever you're swimming in?
Some people love to do that. I do not. Some people are right as soon as they get on their wetsuit, they're like, "Ooh, I just peed." And I'm just not a fan of peeing in water or on myself. And I done it once in a race,
and just felt like, nah, this is not for me.
No, I needed to do it.
Oh, okay.
But most of the time I don't need to pee, but I will probably have to go to the bathroom for my Ironman race.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have to start training for that, peeing on myself. The fifth discipline of triathlon. And then you play chess.
Yeah. Because some football player was talking about that. He was saying just sometimes you can't.
Gotta crap my pants.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about crap, but peeing himself, he was like, yeah, that was kind of like you just did it, and you just kind of got used to that. You change your stuff during the halftime and go back out, and everything is fine.
Yeah, a lot of people will pee on the bike.
On the bike. Oh, wow.
Yeah, you stick your butt up. So it goes in a little stream outside behind you, but a lot of people end up getting it on their bike. You're drinking a lot of water, so it's
right.
Unless you're super dehydrated, most of it's just water anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, we've covered a lot of topics with.
Yeah.
So once you start riding your bike, Pete,
once I learn to ride a bike,
you gotta pee on yourself.
I have to pee on myself to initiate myself into riding a bike. I think at this point, I think I got pretty close to last time I tried to ride a bike. I think I almost got it. So I think now if I jumped on a bike, I could probably do it.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of fearful that I'm going to fall and break my face or something like that.
That could happen, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can do training wheels. There's training wheels for adults. They're called the Pete wheels.
Yeah.
The Pete wheels.
I was cleaning out a shed and found my daughter's old skateboard the other day, and I was trying to see if I could do it with holding onto the deck rail, and very quickly thought, I don't know that I was very good at this when I was 11. I don't know if I could skateboard now.
Well, I thought I saw you doing triple ollies out that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that I was doing.
out front.
Yeah.
When you're coming in, I was like, "Where's Heather?"
Right. Well, that was a special skateboard, but so what's one of the best things that has happened while you've been racing, and one of the worst?
Oh, one of the best. So I have two best stories. So I started doing triathlon in 2012. I started training then, and my first triathlon was the Nations Triathlon. And 2 years ago, I did Nations Triathlon again. I've done it probably 4 times now, but it's a local race. The only race that I can sleep in my bed. One of the only races that I sleep in my bed the night before and then just get up and do the race. So that one, the swim got canceled because there was some bacteria, and I actually ended up winning the women's side of that race. And so I got to break the tape, and that was a lot of fun because it's a local race and a lot of my friends do it. And so that was that. And the other one was I did an ultra marathon in California, and my mom got to see me race because I usually race out here. My parents are in California, and that was another one of the best experiences racing because it was a really hard race. It ended up it was 30. It's a 50K, 50 kilometers, 31 miles, and it was in California hills. And that was a lot of elevation gain, and it was a really hard race. And I pushed myself, and I ended up winning that one too. And my mom got to see me cross the finish line, and so yeah, that was those two. I guess winning's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I think that's the point.
Getting to actually feel the tape as you go through it, and
I can't think of a worst. Maybe I just don't have that.
You've
mindset.
never got injured or never.
Just little things here and there, but no big injuries, no crashes, nothing big. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a worse. Maybe that's part of my success is I always have a positive mindset.
Oh, that's good.
What did your parents think when you started doing this? Were they worried about you overdoing it or just encouraging?
No, from when I was little, in Hawaii, I would sneak out and climb the cliffs, and I was always very adventurous. And I'm very headstrong, and I always knew what I wanted and made a plan and said, you guys are supporting me or not, but I'm doing this. So
so they'd learned what to expect.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I've been all my life. And they love to see my pictures on Facebook and to hear about my adventures.
Yeah, so your mother commented on.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
My mom.
Might be listening right now.
Yeah.
Hi, Paige's mom.
So do you keep track, after you do a race, and let's say you weigh yourself,
I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh.
No, I mean, do you lose 4 or 5 pounds after?
Yeah, I don't usually have access to a scale after a race, but yeah, I shed a lot of water sweating. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my weight can fluctuate 4 or 5 pounds definitely
after a race.
After training, probably.
Even after training. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because then you start to drink water and eat, and especially after a race, you're like, pizza, sure.
So you kind of the day after. I mean, the after you come home from the race, are you don't want to eat, or you really want to eat?
I think that my body has gotten used to strenuous stretches of exercise, so it's typical. It's not different after a race than like a hard training day.
Right.
So you want to eat enough calories during, and then you probably just have an extra dinner or an extra plate of food, like twice as much as you would normally. It really doesn't look that much more.
So like you're saying, you know, I guess that's why it's called training, because you're not just training for the event, you're actually training your body for all, you know, to adjust to what's going on.
Yeah, that's the biggest part of it. I think that's when people do the best, is that when they're able to train very consistently. It's not about doing a workout here or a workout there, you know, or it's okay if you miss a workout. But if you're one of the people, you're getting something in every day with maybe a rest day, and then you graduate to working out 2 times a day, but always getting the workouts in, that's usually the people who do the best in the races.
Well, Paige, thanks for coming by. We're approaching that time where our show is ending, but hang around and keep listening to WOWD LP Takoma Park. We have roadside attractions coming up with Brian spinning a variety of vintage rock and roll, country, blues, and folk from off the beaten path. Then from 6 to 8 p.m., we have Roots and Wings Radio with Becky, Reed, and Chris. Americana music, old and new, presented by 3 Takoma Park friends. And if you love this station, you can donate some money. You can go to takomaradio.org, and we are approaching our 2-year anniversary. It's amazing that 2 years have flown by. So we thank you for listening, and we thank you for donating. And once again, Paige, thank you. And if you want to give a shout out again to all your crew out there.
Yeah, DC Tri Club.
Yeah, remind us the website again.
DCTriClub.org.
All right, so we're going to go out of here with Stevie Wonder. So once again, thank you, Paige.
Thanks for having me.
Continue listening.